setting made traditional workers.
What if I told you that right now, sitting somewhere in a government database, there is a number that will decide whether your retirement looks like quiet mornings on a porch with coffee and no financial stress, or sleepless nights wondering how you are going to cover the electric bill? That number is your future Social Security check, and most people have absolutely no idea what it is going to look like until the day they actually retire, and it is too late to do anything about it. Today, that changes. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how to estimate your monthly Social Security check for 2026, what factors are quietly shrinking or growing that number behind the scenes, and what you can still do right now, even if retirement is just around the corner, to make sure that number is as big as it can possibly be. Stay with me, because the middle of this video contains the one mistake almost everyone makes that can cost them tens of thousands of dollars over their retirement, and I do not want that to be you. Let's start with the basics, because even if you have heard of Social Security your whole working life, very few people actually understand how the number is calculated. Social Security is not a savings account where the money you paid in sits waiting for you. Instead, it is a formula based on your highest 35 years of earnings, adjusted for inflation, averaged out, and run through a progressive formula that replaces a bigger percentage of income for lower earners and a smaller percentage for higher earners. The Social Security Administration takes your earnings history, indexes it to account for wage growth over the decades, picks your top 35 years, even if some of those years are zero because you were not working, and calculates what is called your average indexed monthly earnings, or AIME. From there, they apply something called the primary insurance amount formula, which uses bend points that change slightly every year based on national average wage growth. For 2026, those bend points have shifted again, which means the exact dollar breakpoints where your replacement rate drops from 90% to 32% and then down to 15% have moved slightly higher than they were in 2025. This might sound technical, and it is, but here is the simple version. The system rewards consistency. The more years you work and the higher your income is across a long career, the higher your benefit will be, up to a point where the formula becomes much less generous for every additional dollar you earn. Now here is where most retirement videos stop, but we are going to go further because understanding the formula does not help you unless you understand how to use it to estimate your actual number. The single fastest way to do this is to go directly to the source. The Social Security Administration offers free online tools, including the Retirement Estimator and your personal Social Security statement, both accessible once you create an account on their official website. These tools use your actual real earnings record, not generic averages, which means the estimate you get is far more accurate than any rule of thumb a finance influencer on the internet is going to give you. I want you to pause this video right after we finish here today and go check that account if you have not already, because that statement contains projections for your benefit at age 62, at your full retirement age, and at age 70, side by side, so you can see in black and white how dramatically timing affects your monthly check. Speaking of timing, this is where things get really interesting and where most of the financial decisions of your retirement are actually made. Your full retirement age, sometimes called FRA, depends on your birth year. For people born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is 67. This is important because your benefit amount is calculated at 100% of your primary insurance amount only if you claim exactly at your full retirement age. Claim earlier, and your benefit is permanently reduced. Claim later, and your benefit is permanently increased through what are called delayed retirement credits. Specifically, if you claim at 62, the earliest possible age, your benefit could be reduced by as much as 30% compared to waiting until full retirement age. On the other hand, for every year you delay past full retirement age up until age 70, your benefit grows by approximately 8% per year, compounding. That means someone who waits from 67 to 70 could see their monthly check increase by roughly 24%, compared to claiming right at full retirement age, and compared to someone who claimed at 62, the difference between those two strategies over a lifetime can be enormous. Sometimes well over $100,000 in cumulative benefits depending on how long you live in retirement. This is exactly why I said earlier there is a mistake almost everyone makes, and here it is. People claim Social Security too early because they are scared, not because the math actually favors it for their situation. I understand the fear. You have worked your entire life, you finally hit 62, and the idea of leaving money on the table that you have technically earned feels unbearable. But claiming early is an emotional decision dressed up as a financial one, and emotional decisions in retirement planning are usually expensive ones. The real question is never, can I claim now? The real question is, what is my break-even age? Meaning, at what point does waiting longer actually pay off compared to claiming early and investing or spending that money sooner? For most people in average health with a reasonably normal life expectancy, the break-even age between claiming at 62 versus claiming at full retirement age tends to fall somewhere in the late 70s to early 80s. If you expect to live well into your 80s or 90s, which thanks to modern healthcare is increasingly common, waiting longer to claim is very often the better financial decision purely on the numbers. Of course, health, family longevity history, immediate financial need, and whether you are still working all factor into this decision, and there is no universal right answer for everyone. But the point is, this should be a calculated decision, not a panicked one. Now let's talk about what is actually changing for 2026 specifically. Because Social Security numbers are not static, they adjust every single year, and if you are trying to estimate your check, you need the current figures, not numbers from a few years ago that are floating around outdated articles online. Each year, the Social Security Administration applies a cost of living adjustment, known as COLA, to existing benefits to help retirees keep pace with inflation. This adjustment is based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, measured over a specific period in the prior year. The COLA for 2026 reflects the inflation data collected through the months leading up to the announcement, and this adjustment applies to everyone already receiving benefits, automatically increasing their monthly check starting in January. If you are not yet retired, this matters to you too, because the wage indexing used in your benefit formula is connected to similar economic data, meaning your eventual benefit calculation reflects the broader economic conditions of the years you worked, including 2026. Beyond the COLA adjustment, two other numbers shift every year that directly affect your estimate. First is the maximum taxable earnings amount, sometimes called the wage base limit. This is the cap on how much of your income is subject to Social Security payroll tax each year, and it typically increases annually to keep pace with average wage growth nationally. For high earners, this matters because any income above this cap is not taxed for Social Security and also does not count toward your future benefit calculation. So if you are a higher earner, understanding where this cap sits for 2026 tells you exactly how much of your income is actually counting toward your future check this year. Second is the earnings test limit, which applies if you claim benefits before reaching full retirement age while still working. If you earn above a certain threshold and you have already started collecting Social Security before full retirement age, a portion of your benefit gets temporarily withheld, $1 withheld for every $2 you earn above the limit, until you reach full retirement age, at which point those withheld amounts are actually credited back to you through a higher monthly benefit going forward. A lot of people do not realize this withholding is not a penalty. It is essentially a deferral, but it absolutely affects your cash flow in the short term and needs to be part of your estimate if you plan to keep working after you start claiming. So let's bring this all together into a practical way for you to actually estimate your own monthly check right now. Step 1. Find your most recent Social Security statement, either through your online account or the paper mailing the SSA still sends periodically to workers over a certain age. This statement gives you the SSA's own calculation of your estimated benefit at 62, at full retirement age, and at 70, based on your real earnings history. Step 2. If you want to get more granular or model different scenarios, such as what happens if you work 2 more years, or take a lower-paying job for your last few years before retiring, you can use the SSA's online retirement estimator tool, which lets you adjust your assumed future earnings to see how the projection shifts. Step 3. Factor in your personal health and family longevity. If your parents and grandparents lived well into their 90s and you are in good health, lean toward modeling a later claiming age. If you have health concerns or a family history of shorter lifespans, that changes the math in the other direction. Step 4. Consider your spouse if you are married, because spousal benefits and survivor benefits add another layer of strategy. A lower-earning spouse may be eligible to claim either their own benefit or up to 50% of their higher-earning spouse's full retirement age benefit, whichever is greater, and survivor benefits allow a widow or widower to claim up to 100% of what their deceased spouse was receiving. This means that in many marriages, having one spouse delay claiming as long as possible, especially the higher earner, can actually maximize the benefit for both partners over their joint lifetimes, even if it means the household has somewhat less income in the early retirement years. I also want to address something that comes up constantly in the comments on these kinds of videos, which is the fear that Social Security is going to run out or disappear entirely before you get to use it. I want to give you a grounded, honest answer here, rather than feeding either blind reassurance or unnecessary panic. Social Security is funded primarily through payroll taxes collected from current workers, which are used to pay benefits to current retirees, along with a trust fund that holds reserves built up over decades. Various government projections have indicated that if no legislative changes are made, the combined trust funds could face a shortfall in the coming years that would require benefit reductions to remain solvent, since by law Social Security cannot pay benefits beyond what its income can support. However, it is critical to understand that this does not mean benefits disappear. Even under a worst-case scenario where no changes are made at all, projections generally indicate the program would still be able to pay a substantial majority of scheduled benefits using ongoing payroll tax revenue. Historically, Congress has stepped in before with adjustments such as raising the payroll tax cap, adjusting the retirement age, or other reforms, precisely because Social Security is one of the most politically significant and widely relied upon programs in the country. So while it is wise to plan for the possibility of future adjustments and not assume your exact estimated number is guaranteed in stone 50 years from now, it is equally unwise to assume the entire system simply vanishes. The smart move is to build your retirement plan with Social Security as one important pillar among several, including personal savings, employer retirement accounts, and other investments, so that you are resilient regardless of how future policy unfolds. Let's also talk briefly about taxes, because this catches so many new retirees completely off guard. Many people assume that once they start receiving Social Security, that income is simply tax-free, similar to a gift. That is not accurate for everyone. Depending on your total combined income in retirement, which includes your adjusted gross income, any tax-exempt interest, and half of your Social Security benefits added together, you may owe federal income tax on a portion of your Social Security benefits. There are specific income thresholds where up to 50% or up to 85% of your benefits can become taxable, depending on your total income level and filing status. This means if you are planning to draw from a 401k or have substantial other income alongside Social Security, your actual take-home benefit could be meaningfully lower than the gross number on your statement. Some states also tax Social Security benefits at the state level, while many others do not, so where you choose to retire can have a real impact on your effective monthly income as well. None of this should scare you away from claiming what you have earned, but it absolutely should be part of your estimate so you are not surprised come tax season. Now, if retirement is still years away for you, here is the encouraging part of this video, because there is genuinely a lot you can do right now to influence that future number in a meaningful way. Since your benefit is based on your highest 35 years of indexed earnings, every year you work at a low income early in your career that eventually gets replaced by a higher earning year, later directly improves your average. This means career growth, additional education, switching to higher paying roles, or even picking up consistent side income that is reported and taxed can all push up your eventual benefit calculation. It also means that gaps in your work history, such as years spent out of the workforce raising children or dealing with health issues, get counted as zeros in that 35-year average unless you have enough other high-earning years to push those zeros out of the calculation entirely. If you are close to that 35-year mark and currently in a zero or low-earning year, working even part-time can directly replace one of those zeros and increase your benefit. Additionally, if you are self-employed, making sure you are accurately and fully reporting your self-employment income, rather than minimizing it for short-term tax savings, directly impacts your future Social Security benefit, since unreported income obviously is not counted in your earnings record at all. One more important strategy worth mentioning, especially for those approaching retirement, is understanding how working a little longer, even just 1 or 2 additional years, compares to claiming early. Many people fixate on the claiming age decision alone, but continuing to work, even part-time, while delaying your claim, accomplishes 2 things simultaneously. It allows your delayed retirement credits to continue accumulating, increasing your eventual monthly check, and it potentially replaces lower earning years from earlier in your career with new, possibly higher, income, further boosting your average indexed earnings. This combination, working a bit longer plus delaying the claim, tends to be one of the single most powerful levers available to people in their early 60s who are trying to maximize their retirement income, far more impactful than most of the smaller financial tweaks people obsess over. As we wrap up here, I want you to walk away from this video with 3 concrete actions. First, go log into your Social Security online account this week, not someday, this week, and pull your actual statement so you have real numbers instead of guesses. Second, sit down, even just for 20 minutes, and think honestly about your health, your family longevity, your financial needs, and your spouse's situation if you are married, because the right claiming age is genuinely personal and there is no single answer that fits everyone despite what headlines might suggest. Third, if you still have working years ahead of you, look for any realistic way to either increase your income or extend your working years even slightly, because the leverage that has on your eventual benefit, especially in the years right before retirement, is larger than most people realize. Social Security is not going to be the only piece of your retirement, and it should not be, but for the vast majority of people, it remains one of the most stable, inflation-protected, guaranteed sources of income they will have for the rest of their lives. Understanding exactly how your number is calculated, how 2026's specific adjustments affect that number, and what choices are still within your control puts you in a completely different position than the millions of people who simply wait until their last day of work to start asking these questions. You now have the framework. Use it. Before you go, if this video gave you even one piece of information that changed how you are thinking about your retirement, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel is built entirely around giving you clear, honest, no-nonsense breakdowns of exactly how your money works, without the jargon and without the fear-mongering you find everywhere else. Every single week, I am putting out videos just like this one covering Social Security, retirement accounts, taxes, and smart money moves at every stage of life, and the only way you are going to see those the moment they come out is by subscribing and turning on notifications. There are people in your life right now, a parent, a sibling, a coworker approaching retirement, who desperately need this exact information and have no idea where to find it. So if this helped you, share it with them too. Subscribing costs you nothing, but it genuinely helps this channel keep growing so I can keep making more videos like this, free, for anyone who needs them. So take 2 seconds, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video, where we are going to dig even deeper into the strategies that can help you retire with confidence instead of guesswork.
I'll be right back.